what's the deal in this theory and the way I'm putting it down. And click that bell so you could be notified when I drop another Game of Thrones video. In order for us to understand who the Night's King is, we must go back and look at what inspired George R. R. Martin to create the White Walkers. And on numerous interviews, George R. R. Martin has said that he based them on part of the Sheed, a race of mysterious fair folk in Irish and Scottish mythology. Now, HBO gives them a corpse appearance, and this is mostly to scare people and for TV factor. But in the books, they are described as beautiful, inhuman, and elegant, and that is certainly not dead. Now, in this Irish or Scottish mythology, the Sheed themselves could be achingly beautiful or horribly grotesque, and they were often tall and regal. Now, the words we must focus on here are elegant, beautiful, tall, and regal. And I think if we take those words and everything else I'm about to show you, that starts to point in the direction of who the Night's King really is. But before we can go forward, we must go back. How far back? Way back. Way back to the time before the doom of Valyria. And that will give us the first two words, elegant and beautiful. Now, when dealing with the Valyrians, they were described as this. The common characteristics amongst Valyrians appear to have been purple eyes and hair of silver gold or platinum white. Valyrians are said to hold many treasures before the doom, but their biggest treasure is their beauty, which is unrivaled in the world. So we have a race of people that's beauty is unrivaled by any other race in all of this world. They are the most beautiful people this planet has ever seen. So we do have a group of Valyrians that are left, and that is the Targaryens. So it must be that their beauty is also unrivaled as the whole the Valyrians were. So to break down this Targaryen situation, we must go back to when the Night's King was first created. Now, when we see the Night's King created, and we're going by the show version of the Night's King being created, we see these little evil children of the forest stabbing this dragon glass right in this man's chest. And we look at this man. He does not look like a northerner. In fact, he looks like what we would consider a Valyrian to look like somewhat in the show. Now, so when we see this man getting stabbed with the dragon glass in his chest, the number one thing we are shown is an overhead shot of a White Walker symbol. And we look at this White Walker symbol, it just so happens that this symbol resembles the Targaryen symbol. I don't think there's any debate on what it looks like. We have seen many White Walker symbols throughout this show, but there is one symbol that they keep bringing up, and that is this Targaryen looking symbol by the White Walkers. We also seen this symbol displayed with horse heads in a Targaryen shape, and the only person we know that hangs out with horse riders and happens to be a Targaryen is Daenerys Targaryen. And when we look at the final symbol shown by the Night's King, and we hear them say that the Night's King is trying to send us a message, what do we see? We see the words of House Targaryen in their sigil, which is fire and blood. And that is the message that the Night's King is trying to send them. And since the Targaryens crowned themselves kings when they came to Westeros, that gives us the elegant, the beautiful, and the regal all wrapped up into one. Now, the only thing we don't have is the tall, and we will be taking care of that in 1 second. But by now, I would think that you may be able to guess exactly who the Night's King is. And if not, allow me to tell you right now that the Night's King is none other than Brendan Bloodraven Rivers. He is the great other. And we look at his description, we get the final word that completes this puzzle. Brendan was not as tall or muscular as his half-brothers, Daemon or Aegor, but he was considered more cunning, a shade under 6 feet tall. So we see here that the Targaryens are usually taller than 6 feet, but he is a shade under that. Now in season 7, we see the Night's King take over an undead dragon and make him into an ice dragon. Now I did predict that over 5-6 years ago. You can check out that video, but that's besides the point. What I'm trying to say is that we have seen the Night's King fly a dragon, and according to this show, and that's what we're going on, only one race of people can fly a dragon.
Only Targaryens can ride dragons, and that should be a sign for Jon. Jon's not always the quickest on the uptick, but eventually he gets there.
Now that should be enough proof, but I understand YouTubers are very skeptical. They do not want to believe even what is right in front of their face. So I'm going to give you some more proof. I'm going to break down the scene that the Night's King is created in, and that will provide the final nail in the coffin that Brendan Bloodraven Rivers is the Night's King. The scene starts off with Bran holding the branches, and this is a diversionary tactic because they want you to focus on Bran not to give away too much. After that, it switches to both Bran and Bloodraven walking towards the children of the forest. Now when they do walk towards the children of the forest, it then again snaps back to Bran holding the branches to get you to focus on Bran. Right after they do that, you see Bran run down towards the children of the forest and leave Bloodraven behind. Then we switch again back to Bran. Now after that, we see the weirwood tree with Brendan Rivers' face right on it. It's no coincidence that after all this time, after showing all the weirwood faces, all of a sudden they have this man, the actor, after they casted him, on the weirwood tree's faces. Then for the first time they snap to Brendan Rivers holding the weirwood roots all of a sudden, and then we switch to the Targaryen symbol right after that. This is no coincidence that when they showed Brendan Rivers, they showed the Targaryen symbol right after they showed him. But this is the key point right here. Right before this evil Children of the Forest Leaf is about to stab this man, they jump cut to Brendan Rivers' face. And not only do they show Brendan Rivers' face right then, they focus on his face and pull the camera in on his face. And you can look at the looks on his face like he knows what's going on. He's been through this. And when the evil Children of the Forest try to explain to Bran why they created the White Walkers, you can see the camera go from blurry to clear on Brendan Rivers. When Bran Stark is marked by the Night's King, he is looking in Brendan Rivers' dream. And when he comes back, Brendan Rivers knows that he was marked, even though he was nowhere to be found in the dream.
He saw me! The Night King! He saw me!
He touched you.
I don't know, he was close, but...
He touched you.
Then when the Night's King finally makes his way into the cave and he confronts himself, when he's looking at himself, what do they show? He stops and he pauses and stares right at him. And they show their faces looking at each other. There was no reason for them to show that stop and pause unless he is familiar who he is, because it is him. Brendan Rivers tells Bran, if you stay too long where you don't belong, you might drown, which is exactly what happened to him. He was captured by the Children of the Forest because of his Targaryen blood and was turned into the Night's King because he stayed too long where he didn't belong. But if you want to know exactly how I came up with that, it wasn't just now. It was some years back, and I have a whole playlist called Bloodraven is the Great Other, and I will put that link at the cards. But you tell me what you think. Is Bloodraven the Night's King? Let me know in the comment section. Peace and stay sexy.